Hi folks, welcome back to Pop Pop Fizzle. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Heidi.
And we're here to carry on a conversation that we started a while back,
a few months ago,
on another video, and we'll link that video in the description down below. It was a video where we talked about fandom and some of the problems that come with fandom. We specifically were looking at Star Wars fandom.
Yeah.
And my intention when we made that video was to look at some different fandoms, from comic books to movies to television, and to talk about the pros and cons of fandom and some of the good things that you find in a fandom, like meeting a future spouse, to the bad things that you find in a fandom. In the meantime, though, we've been doing a lot of work doing trailer reactions and movie reviews and that sort of thing. But it's kind of come to the point where we felt like it was necessary to address Star Wars fandom again. Not because we're big cultural leaders on this thing or because we know every detail about every Star Wars thing ever.
Nope.
We're not going to be winning any schmoedowns anytime soon. But these are, Star Wars films are important to us. We've been fans of them our whole lives for the most part.
Yeah.
And so when something affects the fandom, it does affect us, as I'm sure if you're a fan, it affects you. And some things have been happening lately that we just sort of wanted to address and discuss.
Yeah.
Namely, something that happened recently, and you and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah. So I'm sure if you are anywhere near fandom or social media, you have seen the report that Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose in The Last Jedi, has been driven off of Instagram thanks to jerky fans or people who call themselves fans.
Well, not just jerky, and this is kind of why we wanted to address this. It's one thing to you see a lot of venom and bile on social media anyway.
It happens.
Sadly, it comes with the territory. But when your jerkiness drifts into outright racism or misogyny, that your comments to somebody because you didn't like a character they played become personal and pointed and hurtful is ridiculous. I mean, it's just nonsense.
Like, literally, what is the point of that?
Now,
what kind of person are you that makes you feel better about your life? I mean, really.
It really says more about them than it does about her, for sure. By all accounts, Kelly Marie Tran is a sweet, kind, someone who is very kind to fans, doesn't hesitate to be proud of being part of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I believe like on, was it behind the scenes things or maybe some like clips that we saw about like before she wound up, actually being on screen, how excited she was to be part of this universe.
Yeah. And sadly, this is not the first time that Star Wars fans have reacted so negatively that there have been consequences for that. Jake Lloyd, who played young Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace, admittedly, I'm not somebody who is going to defend that he was great in that part. That's not the point.
That's not the point.
That's not the point at all. But he was driven pretty crazy to the point where he was making some terrible decisions in his life.
Yeah.
Because he was being hassled repeatedly by people. And this is pre everybody being on the internet and talking to him there. This was people in real life saying stuff to his face.
Yeah.
To the point where he had to basically retreat into himself and had some severe issues because of that.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. Then you add into that the fact that Hayden Christensen, who played the older Anakin, basically took a step away from acting for a while.
Yeah.
Because of all the hatred and negative comments that he was getting.
Which is
and I've seen him in other things.
And he's been great.
And he was great. So you can blame a lot. You can blame a lot on different things. Acting is sometimes it's the actor, but sometimes it's the direction, and sometimes it's the writing, and sometimes it's a combination of all of those things. Yeah. There were problems with the prequels. I'm not denying that.
Nope.
But you don't lay them at the feet of one person.
The actor.
And make them so miserable that they have to run away from a career that they love. And that's what
that makes me so angry. Like, there is nothing on this planet that is so important that you have to say to somebody to make them have not only just a horrible day, but a horrible year and question their life.
And this is where I think fans tend to lose perspective. That there's this sense of ownership that does not belong with the fans. Now, there are people that will argue with me about that, and that's fine. If you want to make the argument that that there is ownership there, that's fine. But as someone who writes and creates characters and tells my own stories, I'm always writing for myself. I'm telling the story that I want to tell. And then I share it with you, and you can like it or not like it at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't think that being a fan of something means that I have the right then to determine the outcome of a storyline or a timeline or whatever else is involved in this, and to be personally offended when it doesn't go my way. Now, I'm a consumer consuming a product. And if the product is not to my liking, then it might keep me from going back to that product the next time.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm fine with that.
That's capitalism.
That's capitalism at work, and the market will sort itself out that way. That's fine. But to take this sort of, they owed me this story. They owed me the EU, and then they cut it out. They owed me this particular element of this one EU story that they had the perfect opportunity to make canon. They didn't make it canon, and that drives me crazy.
Get over yourself.
To take all of that and turn it into hatred and this just nasty attitude toward another flesh and blood human being who likely had very little to do with whatever it is that you're upset about is ridiculous, and it's sad for you more so than it is for anything else. So you look at this, and these sorts of responses, especially to the prequels, were part of what drove George Lucas away from wanting to do more movies.
Yeah.
And to say, I'm just going to sell this thing. I'm just going to step away.
It was just over
and I'm just going to be done with it.
Yeah.
Because, nobody wants to spend their life dealing with negativity.
Yeah.
And nobody should.
Nobody should have to.
But, I mean, since Disney has acquired Lucasfilm, and since Lucasfilm has been putting out these new films like The Force Awakens and Rogue One and stuff, Daisy Ridley had to delete her Instagram because of nasty comments. Now Kelly Marie Tran also having to do that. And the ones that drove Kelly Marie Tran away, as brave as she was trying to be and stick it out, were racist and misogynistic and stupid. And there's no call for that. Not ever. She played a character in a movie. It's just the kind of thing that makes people outside of a fandom go, I don't want to be a part of that crazy stuff. I keep hearing these things, and that's not what I want to be a part of. And that's sad, because all that should determine whether or not someone is a fan of a series is whether or not the stories are good. Now, if you didn't like The Last Jedi, you're entitled to not like it. That's great. You're not entitled to tell people that they're stupid or sellouts for liking it. If you love The Last Jedi, you're entitled to love it, but you're not entitled to put down people as stupid or whatever other word you want to hurl at them because they didn't like it.
People are entitled to their own opinions, and your opinion shouldn't affect that.
Right. And their opinion shouldn't affect your happiness. If it does, that says something about you. If you can't stand that certain people don't like what you like or love something that you don't like,
what's wrong with you?
That's a problem that you need to address and not something that you need to get in somebody else's face about. The problem with driving people off of the internet is that it says so much more about you than it does whatever you were upset with them about. And if you can't see that, there's some cognitive dissonance going on there that you're just not aware of. That's one of the reasons we want to make a video like this, is to talk about that sort of thing. No fandom should deal with that sort of negativity. Now, if you want to talk about whether or not Solo was a flop or not, that's numbers. You can look at numbers and you can talk about that. But there's a large group of people online right now taking credit for the failure of Solo, or what they perceive as the failure of Solo, because they were so upset about The Last Jedi that they decided they weren't going to see it, and they were trying to organize people not to see it. Here's the thing, and I don't want to, this is not breaking news. Those of you that are vocal about those sorts of things, you're a tiny minority of people. You don't have nearly the kind of weight behind you that you think that you do. So claiming that you've achieved some sort of victory in the first place is nonsense. In the second place, all you're doing is hurting a franchise that you claim to love. If you don't like Solo because you didn't care for the movie itself, that's fine. If you don't care for Solo and didn't go see Solo because you didn't like The Last Jedi, that's dumb. They're two different products. So you're saying, I'm not going to go eat Cookie Crisp cereal because I really didn't like those Rice Krispies. They're two different things made by the same company under the same banner. They're both breakfast cereals, yes. They're both put out by the same company. However, they're vastly different things. If you didn't try one because you didn't like the other, that's on you. That's what children do. But if you saw Solo, didn't care for Solo, it didn't do what you were hoping it would do, you're entitled to that opinion, and you're entitled to share that opinion. The problem within the fan base is when you take your opinion as the rule of law, and anyone who stands against that opinion has to be put in their place. This is a problem.
You're not that important.
We're not that important, and we're just giving you our opinion. That this is what corrupts a fan base and makes it sort of toxic, where people don't want to be invested and involved. Part of the fun of the Star Wars franchise was always that whether you knew every Ewok's name, or whether you had only seen the original trilogy and that was all you knew, and you couldn't name a character to save your life, you just really like lightsabers and cool space battles, no matter where you were on that continuum of fandom, you could be a part of something and enjoy it together. If you went to a con and saw people dressed up, if you went to Star Wars Celebration or whatever, you could enjoy being a part of that group. And now, those elements are kind of tainted by the fact that who knows? Well, I like this. Did you like that? If you didn't like that, are you one of these people saying negative things about it? Or are we enemies somehow? You're not. You just have an opinion on a movie. And social media has given people the freedom and sort of the bravado to act like their opinion matters more than other people's opinions. But it doesn't. It's just your opinion, right? So I loved The Last Jedi. I had a good time with it. Do I think it was the best Star Wars movie ever? No. I don't care if you liked it or didn't like it. You're entitled to your opinion. If you didn't like it, I'm not going to try to convince you to like it. If you and I want to talk about it, I may tell you what I liked about it, but I'm not going to try to convince you that you're wrong, or that you're stupid, or that you aren't cultured enough to understand something, or whatever. And I don't want you to tell me that I'm some sort of shill, or some sort of, that I've got my rose-colored glasses on, or whatever. That's not your place to tell me either. We just have different opinions, and that's okay. And that's the part that everybody seems to forget, that it's okay to have different opinions. Heidi and I have different opinions on things all the time. We talk about things, and I'll say, well, what did you think about that? I didn't care for it. Really? I really like that. Or she'll tell me about something that she thought was great, and I'll watch it and I'll be like, it's okay. But these are our opinions. If we took our opinions as like sacrosanct, we would fight all the time because we have a lot of opinions, just like you do, about many, many things.
That would be exhausting.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what this is.
And so this sort of exhaustion and cranky nastiness is settling into a fandom that means a lot to a lot of people. So my hope is that you'll take a look at your place in the fandom. It's the only thing that you have control over, and think about it. What am I putting into this thing? What am I taking away from it? Am I keeping quiet when people are acting like jerks on the internet or saying racist things to someone as sweet as Kelly Marie Tran? Now listen, I was not a Rose Tico fan. You give me that movie, which I liked. Mm-hmm. She was not a standout character for me. Now, that could be because I'm white, and it could be because I'm male. It could be because I like the sword fights better than I love the character of Rey. But it's not because of anything about her character other than the fact that I tend to gravitate toward the Jedi side of the storytelling, right? So I liked Rose. I thought she was a fun character, and I thought she was cute. She just wasn't a standout for me. And I didn't really buy her sort of chemistry with Finn. But that's okay.
And that's not her fault.
And that's not her fault. But I didn't think that she ruined the movie.
No.
And I didn't think that she made the movie unwatchable. I didn't think anybody did. I thought the movie was fine. So I'm not saying this. I'm not taking up for her as someone who's just a super solid fan and I'm taking up for her because it's the decent thing to do. This is nonsense.
She's a person.
She's a person. And you're mad about a movie. And maybe even, maybe you're still mad about that movie. Or maybe you're mad about a movie that you haven't seen and you're trying to point to it and say, well, look at how they're failing now. Look at what we did. It's all just nonsense. See the movie if you want to see it. Don't see the movie if you don't want to see it. But don't make fun of people who like it. And don't treat other people, whether they're an actor or another fan, don't treat them like they're less than because they disagree with you. It's a terrible way to live your life. And people deserve better. Anyway.
All right.
Those are our thoughts.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. Be nice. there's a lot of hatred going on, a lot of angry stuff, a lot of nastiness, whether it's the racism and misogyny or whether it's just name calling and general nonsense. But we are hoping that you will be a part of the conversation without resorting to those things. So let us know in the comments down below what you think. Until the next time, folks.
Bye.
Bye.